Hello, my name is Ian Cresswell. I am here today with Adam Miller. We're going to spend a little bit of time showing you how fast and easy it is to take we'll call it a spreadsheet, though it requires very little input from you, bring your employees into Passport's ACA solution, and to turn that information into 1094 and 1095Cs in literally just a few minutes' time. Adam, why don't you go ahead and show us how this works?
Thanks, Ian. Okay, yeah, we're going to start with a list of employees. We've got about 300 sample employees here on a spreadsheet, 24 columns, only about 12 pieces of required information. And that's, even counting separately your first name, your last name, city, state, zip, and everything. So 12 pieces of required information, as opposed to some applications out there which give you what we call the nightmare spreadsheet, where you have 80 columns to cater to all those monthly values. If I zoom out a little bit, you'll see what I mean. They'll have all those series 1 codes and the contribution amounts and the 2 and the zip codes. And nobody wants to do that. That's for 300 employees. That's an extra 14,400 cells that you don't want to have to do those manually in a spreadsheet. So again, we take the basic information, have our powerful tools to help you, and you're going to see just how fast we can go from 12 pieces of information to 1094 and 1095Cs. Okay, I have entered a little bit of information first. We have our employer name and address and stuff like that for the 1094C. I've also, in what we call our groups, entered some basic information about what safe harbor we use, the default contribution we use for each month, our planned start month, and a policy of whether we offer coverage to our new full-time employees in their first, second, third, or fourth full month. So with all that said, we're going to come from nothing here in our employee information. You can see we have nothing here. And we're going to import employees. And we've just imported 300 employees. Now we need to generate those ACA codes and contributions without having to fill out 14,000 cells. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to our toolbox, generate new ACA data. I'll just say default group. Now we do have a choice here, depending on the nature of your business. Of course, in most cases, salaried employees are going to be classified as full-time, but depending on how you have your workforce is, you may want to default your hourly employees to full-time or part-time. In this case, let's say most of our hourly employees are part-time. Okay, and then for our full-time employees, we want to use on line 14 code 1E for an offer. We'll just stick with the default contribution, and we'll say that most of our employees waive coverage. So we'll change that to 2H. I'll click OK. All right, and we just generated all of those monthly values for 300 employees in just a few minutes, or a few seconds, actually. We come back to our employee information here. I'll sort it. You can sort by last name, A to Z. You can also just start typing, and it'll bring up that employee. You can also sort by employee number, high to low, low to high. Okay, so here's our first employee. This person is salaried, so they were defaulted as full-time, offered coverage for 113, waived. And you can see that also, because they had a termination date of July 5th, the software automatically recognized that and knew to change their codes for August and beyond. So instead of showing the offer, it showed that there was no longer an offer. Why? Because they were no longer employed, 2A. Actually, if I sort from the last end, well, we can see here, that one's part-time. Let's go to this. Okay, here we have someone who was marked as hired in June. And even though, again, we used a cookie cutter, it's smart enough to recognize that hire date of June and our second full month as our policy in the group. And it knows to code that person as 1H and 2A, not employed for the January through May. In a waiting period, for June and July, and then it uses those default full-time codes for August and beyond. So that's a high amount of intelligence for the tools here. Oh, one other thing, since we defaulted all of those full-time employees to waiving coverage, we can also come into our mass update down here, and I can say department. I'm going to say department 1234, which was on the spreadsheet for some of those employees. And I can say we're going to change our line 16 code from 2H to 2C for just those employees. And if we go back, anybody who's in department 1234 and full-time is now going to have a code of 2C here showing enrolled. So this person, if we look back here, is department 000 and shows as waived. But if we scroll down and find somebody here, so Georgia Pedro, they're in department 1234, and that's why now on line 16 we have 2Cs for that. And that mass update function can be used for contribution amounts, for offer codes, and it also can be done for part of the year. So if you have a non-calendar year plan, you can update that contribution amount for whenever that starts. So if it went up in June from 113.25 to 150, we could change that for all of your employees at once. Very powerful. Okay, at this point, I think you've seen what we have there. We've created all our data, and now I could go right to creating the 1094 and 1095C for employee copies and transmission to the IRS. I'm going to click OK to finalize. And we have the option to print to plain paper PDFs, which you can print out or email to your employees, or you can also use the pre-printed forms. I'm going to pretend to print to pre-printed forms, mock, since you wouldn't be able to see them anyway. We'll just choose a null printer and go through the motions of doing our alignment. We'll say that they printed OK. And now it has created our electronic files already. And click OK. And this asks me if I'm ready to close the year. And if I say yes, it's going to create our next year of data using the December values for every employee. So anybody who was part-time in 2024 will show as part-time in 2025. Those who were enrolled will stay enrolled. Those who were waived will stay in, will remain waived. And I will show you the electronic files here. And here we have it. This is your transmission file that you can log into the IRS portal and upload. And we have our 1094C information right here, our number of forms attached, 211. Again, not all 300 because many of those employees were part-time. If we scroll down, we can get to the 1095C starting here. Here's record 1. We have Daniel Alejandro, all of their codes, Eddie Allison, and 209 more all going down here. So we're ready to file.
Now the user, Adam, in this case, they don't have to open those and look at them, correct? They're just going to upload those on the IRS's website?
Yeah, the user would have to have credentials to log into the IRS's portal, and then they browse to the two files. There's a manifest, which is like a cover sheet, as well as that data file we just looked at. You upload those two files, and you check it the next day and get your just the status. You enter your receipt ID and find out if it's accepted or not. I will say that we're not going to go into all the other features we have, but one thing is, in order to get approved and to get your IRS transmitter control code, the final step before you can get that approval is to submit sample files. We generate those test submission files here with you enter your TCC, your probationary TCC, generate these test files, you upload those to the test environment for the IRS, and then when those are accepted, you'll be approved to file on your own behalf. We do offer services, whether it's transmission for you, just that last mile. We can take your files and upload them if you don't want to have to go through the application process. We also have what we call full service, where you provide the spreadsheet to us and we do all the other things.
Great, thanks, Adam. So there you have it. This was just a quick run through to show you how fast and easy it is to take that information from that spreadsheet. What was it, 12 columns, right, Adam?
Yep.
Yeah, so we take information from those 12 columns you have to provide to draw that information in, create all of the information that you need, and to be able to then turn this information into your 1094 and 1095Cs. This goes much further than that. It's a full-service ACA management module that can handle self-insured companies, ICHRA plans, and a variety of other types of plans. And there are so many other features for managing both full-time and part-time employees and so on. So this is truly a full service, if you will, ACA solution.